Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to cilinixfxcapital. Hope you're all doing great, and welcome to this new video here on Bitcoin. We're going to do a full update. We have quite a lot to talk about, but I'll try to keep the video short and concise, so that you can easily watch it and know what you have to know. So let's get right into it. Now, yesterday the story of the day was obviously the stock market. All right, we talked about that in the middle of the day market update. About the risk of the stock market filling the gap to the downside, right? So this is futures, which I wanted to look at in a moment. But you can see yesterday we had a pretty big drop, and the gap hasn't completely filled yet. Now, I have to say, if you go back in time, not all gaps to the downside fill completely. All right, so it's not necessarily true that we have to fill this gap. Most often they do get filled, so then we would expect one more push down. But ultimately, like I said, it's still a little bit uncertain. And I think the story of today is the strength of Bitcoin, which has been incredibly resilient. I mean, during all of that bearish pressure, I can guarantee you, if this would have happened 3 weeks ago, Bitcoin would have been back at 84,000 easily. All right, but now what Bitcoin has done is it has held this major support level at 86,400 incredibly well. I mean, look at this. I mean, we pushed down very much, and the volume increased a lot during this period of time when the price was really pushing down. And then at the end, we also saw the Coinbase Bitcoin premium slip slightly right here. That was against the end or against the close of the stock market. So then Bitcoin spiked down a little bit lower, but ultimately we held a trend line. We found support here near the weekly open. And just in general, this is a minor key level right here at 86,000. So I cannot be anything but, still feel the same about Bitcoin as I did yesterday, last day. So no, my thoughts on Bitcoin are still exactly the same. Yesterday, what I told you when the price was up here, right? So we did take a beating, but that was always a possibility when there's a gap to the downside for stock markets like this. Yesterday, I told you I think it's most likely we're going for that level at 90,000, and then from there we'll see again. I still do expect that. All right, the Asian sessions have been incredibly strong. We've seen a Coinbase Bitcoin premium come back basically straight after the stock markets closed. So I'd say it's most likely, and that's also, by the way, technically the amount of volume we've spent by holding this weekly open. Let's keep it at that. It's just a very bullish sign. Now I have to tell you, of course, that if we're still going to fill that stock market gap, then there is a possibility that Bitcoin still pushes down a little bit as well. But I think ultimately, even if Bitcoin does, I think it's going to be able to hold a trend band. You should remove this trend line. That's not the best measure of the trend. I do think we'll be able to hold the trend band. And eventually rally up to that level at 90,000. Now, I'm not sure how the leverage is doing. I also do not really care that much at this point of time. No, I mean, leverage basically back at the same levels as it was at before we started rallying on Sunday. So almost all of the leverage has been shed. And you can see historically, or at least if you look at these last two leverage moves, that historically there's about a period of time of 2-3 days before we rally again. So we could see some consolidation first if it goes the same this time, which usually, history never repeats, but it sometimes rhymes. But I do expect that move up, all right? I don't, even if the gap fills for the stock market, futures, by the way, have been very strong, so that's an indication that we might not fill the gap. But even if we fill that, I think Bitcoin is going to hold support and rally up higher afterwards. And there's also fundamental reasons to be more bullish, or at least more positive about the stock markets, after there have been some indications about the tariffs being a little bit more lenient than expected. And the tariffs on cars are, I believe, 25%, and that's now fully priced in, and the market is still moving up. So for those reasons, I would expect us to remain stable for now, but ultimately to get that move into 90,000. No major economic data today. We have GDP numbers. I mean, those are pretty important, so keep an eye on those. Initial jobless claims as well. Tomorrow is more important. Then we have core PCE price index, which I might live stream, but I'll still let you know. But that's what I think you need to know for the markets today. If you do have any questions, let me know down in the comments, of course. But for now, thank you for watching. Take care and bye.